Hello and welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast.
Oh, and a bottle of rum. Welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast. I'm Carter Nachtrab.
I'm Frank Busalacchi.
And it's been a minute since Frank's been on the podcast, so welcome back. Thought you died for a second there.
Nope, I am back and ready to rock.
That's good. I'm glad. Because it's been a minute. Everybody's been asking. They were like, did Frank die?
I apologize for that, guys. I just finished my bachelor's degree, and between work and doing that, I had to take a step away from the podcast. But I am back and ready to rumble.
That's awesome. That's what I love to hear, bro. Yeah, and we're glad to have you back. But you've been working hard behind the scenes. So for everybody who's been wondering, Frank is not quitting. He's still spitting.
I'm still in the game. You guys can't get rid of me that quickly.
Nope, not that easy. But yeah, welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast. We got some good topics to discuss today. We got some good stories. We got some interesting facts that we are excited to dive into today that you're probably here wondering. But yeah, we're here and we're back at it. And we got some news. We've did a lot of changes to the podcast. So for everybody who's wondering, we got a new logo. We got a new intro. Like, what's the deal? What's going on, Frank?
So right now we are completely rebranding what we're doing. We are no longer focusing on a podcast. And I know that in one of our previous episodes, me and Carter kind of talked about where we wanted to go with this podcast and stuff like that. And we are finally taking the steps to get into where we want to be. Throughout this year, you guys are going to see a lot of different content coming from us. But don't worry, we will still be making the podcasts for you guys.
Yeah, so we're still going to stick to every other week coming out with a podcast. If we do end up missing one, we will get one out as soon as possible after that. Maybe we'll have two back to back. But yeah, we're excited to get back into it. And we got a lot of good things coming that we're really working hard toward. We got Dan Maier on the podcast too, and he's going to be helping out a lot with a lot of content, lots of videos. And we got more special guests coming, and we had just Elijah Zilke and Walter Hudson on in the last couple episodes. So we're getting back into it. We're rolling, and we are ready to rock.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so anyway, I've had a lot of changes in my life too, and we're finally able to have some free time to start really focusing more on doing the podcast, being with you guys, growing the channel, growing the content, and really trying to do something great and have fun and be entertaining and trying to figure out new things.
Again.
Gonna be more than family. Yeah, so what do you want to do today, Frank? What are we on to discuss?
So we're going to discuss, no, I'm just kidding. So we're going to be discussing a lot of mysteries from Michigan and some kind of ghost stories and legends and things like that. Me and Carter were reading through some before we started the podcast today, and some of them are a little screwed up. They're a little weird. Not going to lie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, let me just grab my little nap here. So no matter where you are in the world, we are over here, and we are talking about this state right here in the United States of America, state of Michigan. So we're going to focus today on Lake Superior, if you can see that, and we got Lake Michigan down here. So if you were wondering where it was, that's where we're taking you guys today.
I'm not going to lie, I was not expecting you to pull out a full-size map of the world.
Yeah, I just found that on the floor.
just casually have maps lying around on the floor. Who doesn't, in case you need a map, you guys give Carter a call if you're looking for directions or something like that. He just got some maps laying on his floor.
Yeah. So anyway, here we are in Google Maps. I don't know if Frank can see this, but here's Lake Superior, here's Lake Michigan. So we've we've traveled a lot to up here in the UP, explored up here in the Keweenaw Peninsula, but we got some interesting stories that take place between the Great Lakes states. So, what do you got for us today, Frank? You want to start us off
Okay,
here?
absolutely. So I have the first one of Little Mary's grave in Jackson, Michigan. And this is from a site called Grandpa's Shorters. That's a weird site name, but yeah, it's called Grandpa's Shorters. And the legend has it that the death of a child is difficult for any parent, but imagine if you accidentally buried your child alive. That's exactly what happened according to this legend. In 1892, little Mary, the daughter of a wealthy Jackson businessman, died at the tender age of 7 and was buried at Oaks Cemetery, which is now known as Hillcrest Memorial Park. The legend states that a few days after her death, Mary's mother awoke, distraught and screaming that her daughter had been buried alive. Could you just imagine that? I mean, I would think the person was crazy. But who knows? So, I lost my place. So, to console the mother, the grave was exhumed, only to confirm the mother's worst fears. Claw marks were discovered on the inside of the casket,
Ugh.
and visitors to the grave over the years claim to have heard little Mary crying and scratching at the lid of her coffin. And others.
Like that?
I would imagine, yeah. Others claim that they have seen lights or angels hovering over her grave. But can you
Ooh,
just
geez.
imagine? I mean, just for anybody, like I know the whole legend about the grave bells back in I think it was like the 1800s, where
Mm-hmm.
if people were buried alive, they could ring the bell to get there. But oh, talk about a horrible way to die, being
I know. I
buried
mean,
alive.
that's probably one of my worst fears.
Oh,
What YouTuber was that?
oh.
Was that? I think that was Mr. Beast. Didn't he get like buried alive?
Yeah,
As
he
in, like
buried himself alive
safely, but
for like 7 days or something like that, or spent a
did you
month.
watch
I don't know.
that
I think
episode?
I watched a couple of his. I think he did 2 buried alive episodes where he just laid in this like glass coffin with obviously there was oxygen getting pumped into it and stuff like that. But could you just imagine? I don't think I could get paid enough money to do that. Props to Mr. Beast because I am not that committed.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't go the whole way though. I mean, he he chickened out. Should just went right in the ground and.
Oh my gosh, I couldn't even the thought of that. I also like
Oh,
suffer like I get claustrophobic in like if I can't like freely like move around, and I could not imagine being stuck underground like that, not being able to get out. Like even if I knew that I was completely safe, just the thought of being stuck, where no matter what happens, it's gonna take at least 20 minutes for someone to dig me out.
hmm.
Ugh.
They only say you got like 45 minutes or so of oxygen in there.
Yeah,
So
that
okay,
would.
what would you do? Would you? I think there's two ways to go about it. Would you guys like even ask you guys like would you rather just take the last 45 minutes and just peacefully die, or are you going to try with all your last breath to escape?
I personally, I would definitely try to get out, but I wouldn't do like I think a lot of people's instincts would be to go like up to the top. I would try to work my way at an angle up.
I think I watched something one time and they said the best way to do it is actually use your knee, because you can knee the middle of the coffin where it's the weakest point from all the weight of the dirt. So you use your knee to crack that part open and the dirt starts to fall in. You cover your face with like your shirt or whatever you got so you can don't die from dust, and you start crawling your way out through that center
Ooh.
because that's where it's the weakest at. But it's going to fill up the coffin with dirt because it's loose soil. It's not solid soil. It was just freshly put on. But man, oof.
That would be such
Yeah,
a
it would be
terrifying way to go.
Well, I hope I don't hear those someday.
Oh, if I go to bed tonight and I hear scratching somewhere, I'm burning my house. Said and done, burning it.
So, well, I got one here. The Landmark Inn, the Lilac Lady. The historic Marquette Inn famously towers above. Oh, I'm getting this from uptravel.com. So, shout out to uptravel.com. So, yeah, the historic Marquette Inn famously towers above the city with beautiful views of Lake Superior. And one spirit may be mourning there forever in the Lilac Room. Legend has it that a sailor frequented the room with his lover. One night, he didn't return from work. The Lilac Lady, beside herself with grief that Lake Superior took him under, couldn't bear the thought of being without her sailor. Using lilac and printed napkins tied together, she died from her own misery. Today, the inn's workers had several sightings in the hallway on the 6th floor near the Lilac Room. The specter wears a floral gown. Strangely enough, she is always seen after the lobby receives a call from the room when no one appears to be in it.
Ooh.
Sounds like a lovely hotel.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna book a stay. It sounds like a good honeymoon suite.
Is that real? The Marquette Inn?
I think so. I haven't been to Marquette a whole lot though.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's real or not, but it sounds scary enough to be real.
So the one that I have next, I know for a fact is real because I have been there. Carter, you have been there, and I know that a bajillion other people on this earth have been there. So I'm sure you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about.
I've been there.
Excuse me. You have been. I'm pretty sure you came with us, but it's the Paulding Light in Michigan. Have you been there, Carter? I'm pretty sure we took you
I've
one
never
time with
been
us.
there.
No?
I've never been
there.
there.
Oh my
No.
gosh. Next trip to Michigan, Carter, I am taking you to the Paulding Light.
Okay, let's
So,
go.
this, I'm not even going to really read a whole lot about this because I've been there and I know a little bit about the lore from it. So, the Paulding Light is this mysterious orb that appears down a fire lane in Michigan. It's just off of US 45 on Robbins Pond Road. And it's completely unexplainable. So I know that I believe Michigan is still the Michigan University of Michigan is still holding a I don't know if you'd call it a contest or what, but if someone can definitively prove what the Paulding Light is, there's a cash prize. I know that it was on Fact and Fiction talking about it. It's just this mysterious light that appears at random times and goes away, comes back, it'll appear to come closer, it'll appear to move farther away, and there is no explanation as to what it is at all. There was some folklore that a railroad line used to run through there, and that it's the light from a ghost conductor who got hit, but that got debunked. Apparently, there was never a rail line that was there, I believe. But it is definitely, if you guys are ever near Paulding, Michigan, there, 100% recommend going out and trying to see it.
Has it ever been known to be seen during the day?
I believe it has been, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's rare to see it during the day, but I do believe that it has been people have seen it during the day.
Wow.
But it's most common to see it at night, and every time that I've went there, I've only seen it at night. And it does change colors too. Like the one time when we were there, we were sitting there and it was white for probably the longest time. And what it looked like to us, it looked like somebody was sitting there with a flashlight just holding it. And we're like, okay, this is kind of dumb, this could be anything, whatever. But then as we were like just getting ready to leave, it started switching from white to red to green to like a bluish purple color. And then it like split off. It turned into like 4 different orbs. It looked like if any of you guys have seen Star Trek, Next Generation, it looked like the saucer from Enterprise. And it like stood there, and then like all the orbs started like moving around, and then it just went back to a solid white. It was the weirdest thing ever. Me, my dad, and my parents and stuff like that, we were all like, what? There is some lore about it where like, which I haven't seen this part of it, but I do know like you can walk down towards the light. And some people have claimed that after walking for so long, you no longer see the light, which is true. We never saw the light after we walked down, however far we walked down. But some people have claimed that they then see it behind them. We did not experience that when we were there, but some people have said that if you walk down far enough, you'll stop seeing the light and suddenly it'll start appearing behind you.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I couldn't... That... I don't know what it is, but it's weird.
Wow. Yeah, that's weird. I mean, I've never been there, but I've heard about it, obviously. But it's like, is it just like reflecting off the road?
So
you think
when it was on Fact or Fiction, it was either Fact or Fiction or Mythbusters. It was one of those 2 shows that it was on. They actually shut down the highway that runs parallel to that road. They had the Michigan State Police completely shut down that highway, and they were still seeing the light. There is an airport that's near there, and a lot of people speculated that it was planes. So they actually, I don't know how they managed to do it, but I believe they shut down the airport for a little while, and the light was still there. They tested for a bunch of different natural gases to see if it was something like that.
Right.
And it was nothing. There was no natural gases that were there. It's just, it's a complete mystery as to what this light is.
The only other thing I could think is, there's something called ball lightning, which is like, it's like, I don't know, it's like electricity that is like, almost like a ball that kind of floats. So I almost wonder if that's what it is. But is ball lightning even real?
Yeah, firemen use it.
No, it's real, but
that's the secret weapon of the Fire Nation.
It is. Well, what's that? The guy that shoots it out of his head called?
Oh, I forget. Cyclops, I think his name was. Just the.
Yeah, I don't even know. The Combustion Man.
Oh, Combustion Man,
yeah.
Yeah, because he shot the laser that blew everything up out of his head.
That's right. Yeah, who knows what that is? I mean, that's freaky though. Yeah, no, I want to go there though. Like, if you guys ever been there or have heard about it, or you know what it is, tell us in the comments below. We'd love to hear it. Do you know if anybody can debunk it?
Yeah, I think it was the students from Michigan Tech who they went and did a scientific experiment, and they determined that it was traffic coming from that highway. But then a couple of years later, that's when I cannot remember the show, and it's driving me crazy. I think it was Fact or Fiction, but It might have been Mythbusters. Shut down that highway and determined that it wasn't. There's no way it could have been the highway.
We'll let the editor figure that part out. Yeah, that's weird. That's crazy. Who knows? I don't know if my next one isn't about that mystery, but it is about a ship called the Edmund Fitzgerald. So who knows if this is fact or fiction, or if this is just some story dropped down through the ages, but it's called the Three Sisters of Lake Superior. So many of you have heard of the Edmund Fitzgerald in Lake Superior, But did you ever hear about the three sisters who may be to blame? So these three sisters are sea legends, of course. They are not human, but they carry a fury of their own. This phenomenon occurs when a series of three big waves, a third larger, and then a normal wave form. The first wave brings a great amount of water onto the ship's deck, leaving little time for its waters to drain before a second wave strikes the ship. But by the time the third wave strikes, there is little hope for the ship, and it is overloaded with water. The three large waves similar to this were reported to be in the vicinity of the Edmund Fitzgerald when it sank by the Captain Cooper of Arthur M. Anderson, which I think is another ship. He wrote that this ship was hit with two 30 to 35-foot waves before they went in the direction of the Edmund Fitzgerald. To this day, many believe this vindictive series of waves is responsible for the loss of the famous Lake Freighter.
Wow. That's cool. I never heard that before.
Which is weird though, because it was said that the waves that sink to sink the Edmund Fitzgerald, the waves to sink it had to be about that size. Which is crazy to think, because the largest one ever recorded on Lake Superior was like 28 feet or so. But even that, they say, is hard to sink a ship of such size, because it was like 700 some foot freighter.
Yeah, that would be. I mean, I remember seeing my first freighter that was on Lake Superior, and I was thinking to myself, like, I always thought there would always be like these like little rinky-dinky things, you know. And I saw the first one when I was a little kid, and I'm like, holy crap, that's a big boat.
That's a big boat.
That's a big boat there, eh?
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong; they're still big, but they're smaller than like ocean freighters. But they're still massive ships that still would take a large wave to hit it, to like completely sink that ship. You know what I mean? Like,
one of the craziest things that I love seeing every time we go up to Michigan is like those little maps about where the Edmund Fitzgerald sank and just how close they were to being home free. Like, it's crazy to think that they could. I mean, weren't they within like, what was it, 9 miles or something like that of making Whitefish Bay?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah, they weren't too far.
It's crazy to think like how fast that stuff can happen. I mean, even like looking at car accidents or things like that, just like how unexpected life can turn in a moment's notice.
Like, not too like. So there was this just a few months ago over here in Minnesota. There was actually a semi truck rolling down the freeway, and coming the other way, there was three people in a car. It was just their normal day. You know, they were going to the store. They were, hanging out with their friends or whatever, and they're just driving. When all of a sudden, the next thing you know is this car was on the side of the road, just completely banged up. It crashed. So what happened? The semi came by, and one of the tires from the semi broke off, went across I-94, the freeway, and it slammed into a column pillar of the car by the driver's side, and it killed all three people in the car. And the semi driver, he didn't even know. He kept going. He only found out because a pickup truck drove in front of him and stopped him with his hazards on to stop the driver.
Holy
shit. Yeah. The guy, I guess, he went to prison because of his truck was not up to date for DOT inspection. So because he didn't do a pre-trip inspection that day. And it just shows you that you could be the best driver in the world, but life happens. Shit happens, and it can end in a moment's notice like that.
Anytime like a case like that or something ever like happens, all I can think about is Final Destination. The movie,
What happened?
The Final Destination movies.
You've
never seen the Final Destination movies, Carter?
I've never seen Star Trek either.
Oh, that's it.
He's out. Yeah, this is Frank's resignation to the podcast.
It's officially
This is
over.
his last episode.
I can't be on a podcast with someone who is so uncultured. Oh my god.
Boy. I gotta get more cultured here.
Jesus.
Jeez.
So, the Final Destination movies, no spoilers. At least I don't think I'm about to give any away. But I'm a little bit like Tom Holland when it comes to that. I might say something that'll spoil it. But the whole premise of the movie is these people they escape death. Like some sort of freak accident happens and somehow they survived. But because that they escaped death is now coming for them at full force. And that's the whole premise of the movie is them trying to outrun death, all because they survived a freak accident. And anytime something like that happens, it's all I can think about is, Final Destination coming to life right now.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I mean, shit happens. Really does. Well, you want to go one more story each?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
And then wrap it up? Okay, yeah.
Absolutely.
You want to share your next one?
Oh, gosh, man. Now you're putting me on the spot. I don't like this pressure.
I can do one if you want.
No, I got it.
You got it?
I got it. Maybe.
You're a big boy.
I'm a big boy now.
All right, sure. Let's hear it.
So this is the Grand Island Lighthouse Murder. Dun 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 dun. The isolation and loneliness of a lighthouse already creates mystery. Now you add murder, and you have one interesting story. In a small sailboat floating.
How? If you're living at a lighthouse and you get murdered, that would be very weird because it'd be more like a suicide.
No, someone executed. Unalives you. Comes in on a sailboat like James Bond.
Okay.
Just comes in there and that. Or maybe it was a ghost.
Let's hear it. Okay,
anyways.
Sorry, go
on. Excuse me, I'm the next one to go. In a small sailboat floating near Sable Point in June of 1890, the body of Edward Morrison was discovered. He was the assistant keeper at the Grand Island Lighthouse in the UP. Witnesses reported his head appeared to be bashed in by a bat, but the coroner listed exposure as the cause of death. However, a second coroner's investigation concluded he was murdered. After discovering Morrison's body and realizing the beacon in the lighthouse had not been lit for almost a week, some men from Munising went out to the island to investigate. The head lightkeeper, George Janieri, was nowhere to be found. Supplies recently brought from the town were still piled on the dock, and the contents inside the lighthouse appeared undisturbed. Searchers looked everywhere for George. I'm going to say George. I'm not going to try to pronounce his last name. Even his wife, who lived in town, had no idea where he was. George was never found, and Morrison's murder was never solved.
Weird. You said that was the Grand Island Lighthouse?
Yep. That's right by Munising.
Holy crap! Look at
when we went up there. Yeah.
Can you see the image? Is that on the screen I'm sharing?
Yep.
It's on a huge cliff.
That is a massive cliff.
That's a huge cliff. I'm pretty sure that's it. It's Grand Island Lighthouse in Michigan.
Yeah, that must be the lighthouse that he was murdered at.
Yeah, just north of Munising, yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Jeez.
That's just... Ooh. So now the question is, was it George who killed him? Or is George still somewhere... Is his body just not been found? Was it somebody else?
It's really creepy. Wow. It's a good question. What do you think?
I don't know. To me, just coming at it from reading this little bit of an article, I would definitely say George probably killed him and ran off, but you can never really know. I mean, George's body could be at the bottom of Lake Superior somewhere.
You said they never found him?
Yeah, and his wife had no idea where he went, and she lived in Munising.
That's strange. I wonder if is that real, you think? It can't be real.
It might be.
It might be? It's really interesting.
I watch enough murder shows to I could believe it.
Well, I don't got that one, but I do got something that does take place in Michigan and Wisconsin and just around the Great Lakes. But when you think of the Great Lakes, you think of Detroit, you think of Milwaukee, Chicago, but you rarely ever think of pirates.
Arr!
But yeah, arr, matey, rum and coke.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, aye. So, yeah, there was a Great Lake pirate named Dan Seavey. I think I'm pronouncing his name right. He was born in the mid 1800s and died in the mid 1900s. He was known as Roarin' Dan Seavey, but he was a pirate that he grew up in Portland, Maine, and then they left his family. They left from there and they moved to Marinette, Wisconsin in the late 1880s. Eventually, my bad. So he actually served for a short time in the United States Navy after becoming a sailor at only 13 years old.
13?
Yeah, he became a sailor at 13 years old. I don't know when he joined the Navy, but yeah, he was only 13.
With my life, damn.
But wait, there's more. Wait till you hear what he's done. It's not good. So eventually, his family, they ended up moving to Escanaba, Michigan. Like Escanaba into Moonlight. And
wow.
So they moved to Escanaba, where he actually purchased a ship called a schooner, which I think I'm pronouncing correctly. A schooner looks a lot like a pirate ship. It's got the mast and the sails, like a pirate ship has. So it looks almost like a pirate ship.
Huh.
Yeah, which was I think in the 1880s he purchased this, and in which he named it the Wanderer. And he began his career as a pirate. And so during his time, he became a pretty big pirate on the seas. And he was involved in prostitution and human trafficking. And he also did, like, where was it? He was a hijacker. He was a timber pirate. He was a poacher, a smuggler. And he actually owned... What's that?
Is a timber pirate just somebody who steals wood?
Yeah. Yeah, right. So he stole lumber and stuff, It's not what you think of when you think of a pirate. You don't think of a pirate who stole lumber, but that's what he did. And he would do that. He would hijack ships that have lumber on it, because lumber was a big thing in northern Wisconsin, Michigan, Minnesota area, where there was a lot of lumber barons who built billion-dollar companies in, like, today's money. It was a huge industry back then because of all the wood and forest in the area. And he eventually started he was involved in illegal prostitution on his ship, where he had an illegal brothel. So he would bring people on his ship. They'd drink alcohol even during the prohibition on the ship as a party at the sea, or at least on Lake Superior. And then he eventually died. He was arrested on piracy. So Yeah, that was his life. Pirates of the Great Lakes, not of
That's
the
crazy.
Caribbean. Never would have thought that, eh?
Yeah, I would never have guessed that either. That's like, wow.
And we discussed, I think, in another episode that there are, in fact, hidden treasures on islands in Lake Superior that pirates would hide on, like, Sand Island. So go check that video out in the
Yeah,
link below.
absolutely.
Um. Anyways, well, anything else you got for us, Frank?
I ain't got nothing. Just gonna say it's good to be back.
Well, we're glad you're back.
Hell yeah.
So,
Anything else that you got, Carter?
no, we're good. So, thank you guys again for tuning into the podcast. We're glad we're back. We got a lot of good things coming, so stay tuned for more. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know the next time we go live with a video. And we got a lot of content coming to you in the future. So,
Thanks, guys,
we'll
for
see you
tuning
guys
in.
next time.